10K Projects is an entity that seems to come up time and time again when speaking on industry plans. The label is headed by Elliot Grange, the son of a bigwig at a record company and a certified Nepo baby. Elliot was ahead of the curve in some ways, discovering Trippie Redd early on in his career, and he was even able to sign 6ix9ine for a measly $30K with the foresight that he might get big one day. If you were to look at 10K now, you'd think they're pretty successful, and they are, but what about the people they signed who didn't make it? It seems 10K couldn't help but grow a little jealous of an upcoming star known as Lil Pump, and they wanted one for their own. Unfortunately, they weren't able to sign him at the time, as he had already become too big of a name and other labels had already taken notice and signed him. So what do you do when you can't have Lil Pump for yourself? You do the next best thing, you get your own version of Lil Pump. Here enters a man who made his whole persona around being a Lil Pump tribute act without even being aware of it. The blue version of Lil Pump himself, Icy Narco. Icy Narco was born Rolando Gomez on June 23rd, 1998 in Miami, Florida. Growing up, he was always a strange kid. He would often steal from stores and get himself in trouble for petty crimes throughout his childhood. Most of his time in school was spent freestyling with his friends. Eventually, his lyrical ability would grow to the point where his friends would try to push him into actually recording his music. He made his first song at 15, but he was often more focused on petty theft rather than actually sitting down and doing anything productive with his time. His hopes at the time were to join a gang, but the gangs of the area didn't want anything to do with him. Eventually, his mother grew tired of his antics and forced him to get a job at Cold Stone Creamery, where he became a manager. Around the time, he got into a relationship with a much older woman who would be his first ever girlfriend. You would think that things would be looking up for him, but unfortunately, his relationship with her was very toxic. Eventually, the two would break up and he would quit his job in hopes of becoming a big-time rapper. Of course, living in Florida at the time of the SoundCloud wave, he was heavily inspired by people like Lil Pump and Smokepurpp. He'd often say that everybody in Florida had already blown up, so there was lots of room left for him to actually make his way into the music industry. His first couple tracks posted on SoundCloud had more of a reggae type of style, but after realizing that wasn't getting him any buzz at all, he decided to mimic the more popular acts in the area. One thing that's important to note about Icy Narco is that it's very possible that he's a liar. All industry plants often lie to cover up their past, and it's almost every interview he's featured in, it's like he's reading off a script, repeating the same thing over and over again. He has two separate stories on how he came up with the name Icy Narco. In one story, he claims his brother is a coke runner in Cuba, so he named himself after him, hence Narco. In another interview, though, he claims that the name just randomly came to him while he was at work. In all likelihood, both of these stories are cap, and the label most likely came up with the name as they often do with other industry plants as well. Baby Goth, Poor Stacy, etc. Icy would post his first music video and song to his personal channel known as Niagara Viagra, which was a clear bite on Pump's style. He even dressed like Pump in the video with the colorful dreads and all. He wasn't a blue narco at that point, but most of the persona was actually made. It's kind of similar to Baby Goth, where she was actually half goth before she became full-on Baby Goth, but the label just kind of played up the persona to another level. This is where his story gets pretty sketchy. He said he just happened to fly out to LA, get on a boat party with Diablo, who's a pretty famous producer in the SoundCloud scene, and this is where he met his management, who somehow connected him to 10K Projects, all within 1 month's time. There's absolutely no way that's true. It's clear that 10K must have flown Icy Narco out after discovering him and proceeded to completely manufacture his persona. Back before he flew to LA, he dropped 2 more songs, Volume and Thump It Out, and this is when he got the attention of 10K, who signed him in hopes of creating their own version of Lil Pump. They immediately got him linked up with No Jumper and Ronnie J, posting a music video for his song Ronnie J Killed This on the channel. He also got to meet J. Cole when hanging out at the No Jumper store. Immediately after that, 10K paid to get him a No Jumper interview where he actually said just a whole lot of nothing. For the most part, the highlight of this entire thing was just him ashing his blunt on Adam's table over and over again. This interview is where we got a lot of information about his early life and career, but also throughout the entire interview, he'd lie a lot. He would say something completely ridiculous, and then Adam would question him on it, and he'd immediately say, "Oh, I'm just trolling, I'm just kidding," and he would do that over and over again through the entire thing. On June 18th of 2018, he would drop his first big hit on WorldStar with his song Link. This was the day that XXXTentacion actually passed away, and the traffic online that day was super heavy because of it, and all eyes were on the SoundCloud scene. This led many people to be drawn to the new blue-haired rapper, curious to see what he was all about. This would be a big moment for Narco, but at the same time, he started to get his biggest criticism levied against him, that he was nothing but a watered-down version of Lil Pump and XXXTentacion put together. Narco definitely didn't like this comparison, and he would actually try to escape this label his entire career. At one point, he even attacked Pump on Twitter, claiming he was actually biting Narco's style instead of the other way around. Pretty good Uno reverse card in my opinion. Then performed at a fairly big festival that the label put on with acts like Baby Goth and Kid Buu. Icy Narco and Kid Buu actually formed some sort of relationship, being spotted together multiple times. What can I say? Clout chasers gotta stick together. He dropped 2 more tracks in 2018, one called Numb and Frozen and the other one called Other Side. Either one of these songs were as big as Link, and it seems like the buzz around him was already starting to die. He actually ended the year off by getting arrested for speeding without proper registration for his car. He couldn't bail himself out for a few weeks after the incident occurred, but when he did eventually get free, he would stay pretty quiet. Wasn't heard from again until May of 2019 when he attempted to rekindle his dying career. He dropped another video on WorldStar called Hypocrites and then did a couple Australian shows to try to promote the release. This will often happen with artists that can't really get a big buzz in America. They'll try to market them more overseas, but it didn't really seem to stick with Narco. He got an interview at the Australian show where he mostly just repeated all the same same talking points from his No Jumper interview. The biggest moment from the year was when he did a pitch for XXL Freshman, where he claims that he taught SpongeBob how to play the clarinet.
I'm Icy Narco, and I deserve to be the XXL Freshman because I taught SpongeBob how to play the clarinet.
Got some people to notice him again, but only really to clown him further. After that, he dropped one more track called Ease the Pain before dropping his first EP, Winter Can Be Murder. This release did embarrassingly bad for him, pushing numbers that even an independent artist could reach on their own. After that, his label attempted to pair him up with the bigger names like NLE Choppa and Trippie Redd. And NLE would actually drop an entire mixtape in 2019, but it wasn't handled the best, as a lot of the releases on this album weren't actually available on Spotify, and NLE didn't really promote it at all. I highly doubt that NLE really had much to do with this release at all, and it was mostly just the label buying old verses, trying to staple them together and making a release that would hopefully get some numbers for their failing artist. It didn't work though, because the album flopped, and after these two big failures, Narco basically faded away. After he faded away, some of his old collaborators would come out against him, saying that he switched up after he got a little bit of fame.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but like, I just being in the industry a long time, like, I just noticed when people change, and he was just one of those that just changed out of nowhere, and I was just like, I didn't want him to be like that because, you know, he was cool and shit, but...
Before he disappeared, he would try to advertise a feature with Trippie Redd, but it never materialized, and he didn't actually drop music all the way until 2021. He attempted to make another comeback with his song Stress, but it was a little too late. Most of his fans were already pissed off with him, and a lot of his buzz had died down 2 years after his initial fame. After that track, he would go silent again for 2 more years, and fans were starting to grow very curious where he went after he fell completely off of social media. Some would say he spent his money very poorly, getting involved with LA gangs and not being able to pay them back, leading them to come after him. It was somewhat confirmed by his baby mother after a small rap page posted that he had actually quit rap to raise his child. She would clap back in the comments saying that he actually hadn't even met his child, and he owed a lot of people money for unpaid debt. Besides that little bit of information, his disappearance is very sketchy and shrouded in a lot of mystery. We do, however, know that he's still alive, considering he dropped a song called Thin Ice in 2022. Other than that though, his whereabouts are unknown. Kate clearly gave up on him as soon as his career started to bleed money, and considering Lil Pump himself actually fell off, what do you expect from a copycat? In my opinion, all these crappy fallen off industry plants should actually join together and make a group that consists of Kid Buu, Icy Narco, Jumix, and Baby Goth. All 4 of these people are known for being cornball industry plants, and if the 4 of them link up, it's sure to get some eyes on them. I mean, what do they have to lose at this point, considering all their careers are actually dead? How they can even throw smiles in there for a little bit more comedic effect. Anyways, that's the story of Icy Narco, a dude whose personality basically consists of copying another man's style. What do you think? Does he have a chance of making a comeback? I mean, some fans are still waiting out for him to this day, but I think that's more out of morbid curiosity than actual love for his music. Either way, fans are fans, dude. Come on, let's capitalize on it. We gotta get that group together. Kid Buu, Icy Narco, Baby Goth, what do you say? Anyways, guys, that's all for today's video, but I do have to give you guys a big thank you for getting me to 1,000 subscribers. We've beat Twisted World. I'm the #1 Twisted World on the platform now, and I couldn't be more thankful for all of you. Once again, it's Shoutout Knife Gang, so if you made it to the end of this video, put a knife emoji in the comments below, and most of all, just thank you for watching. Talk to you next time.